In this tutorial, we are going to solve problems involving the quotient property of radical. Which says if you have the nth radical of a divided by b, that's equivalent to the nth radical of a divided by the nth radical of b. So we can separate them into two radicals having the same index. Or if you have two radicals, you want to divide them and they have the same index, you can combine them in one radical, then you divide the radicands. Here's an example. Like if you have a square root of 27 and you want to divide it by square root of 3, that's going to be the same as, because I see that 27 is divisible by 3, then if I combine them, we can divide the 27 by 3. So it's going to be 1 square root of 27 divided by 3, or a square root of 9, which is 3. Or you can have something look like this: cubic root x power 6 over 8. Over here we can divide, that's x, that's 8. So now if we separate them, maybe we can simplify. So I'm going to separate them. It's going to be cubic root of the x power 6 over cubic root of 8. Now this is odd index, so there is no absolute value for this problem. Now we just divide the 6 by the 3 and we don't use radical anymore. That's going to be the answer. So it's going to be x power 6 divided by 3, x squared. We know that 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, 2 power 3. So now we can find the cubic root of 8, which is regular 2, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. So it's x squared over 2. If you know that cubic root of 8 is 2, you don't need to write this. You can just write the answer. Now we see real example. Simplify. Square root x power 6 over y power 7. This is x, this is y. We cannot divide them. So actually if we separate them, that's going to be a good idea according to this rule. So it's going to be square root of x power 6 over square root of y power 7. Now let's check first of all the answer are going to need the absolute value or not. Even. So if the result is going to have odd exponent, then we need absolute value. For the y, this is odd, so we don't need absolute value. So over here, that's going to be x power 6 divided by 2, 3, which is odd. So now it's even, and the result is odd. You need absolute value. For the y, we said because the y has odd exponent, so we don't need absolute value. But how we are going to divide 7 by 2? Now we're going to use the old trick. It's going to be square root of y power 6, because we can divide 6 by 2, times square root of y, equals absolute value of x power 3 over y power 3, because 6 divided by 2 is 3, so that's going to be y power 3. And once you do the division, you don't use radical anymore, times radical y. Now if the problem has a radical in the denominator, then this is not the simplest form. The final answer shouldn't have radical in the denominator. The final answer also shouldn't have fraction inside the radical. So now we want to eliminate that square root of y. That method to eliminate the square root of y from the denominator, we call it rationalize the denominator. So to get rid of this square root of y, and this is a fraction, you know that when you have any fraction, you can multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. So we are going to pick a number such that when I multiply it here, I can get rid of the square root of y and make it regular y. So we're going to multiply this by another square root of y. So it becomes y squared inside the radical, then the answer is going to be y. And whatever you do to the denominator, you need to do it to the numerator. So now it's going to be equal absolute value of x cubed times square root of y over y power 3 times the square root. You can do y times y, that's going to be y squared. We know that square root of y squared, that's going to be regular y. Then you multiply that regular y by the y power 3. On the top, we just bring it over x power 3 in absolute value, square root of y. So our final answer is absolute value of x power 3 multiplied by square root of y over y power 4, because there is an invisible 1 here, and when you multiply same base you add the exponent, y power 4. Okay, so your final answer shouldn't have radical in the denominator, which we were able to put it in that way. Now here's another example. Simplify. Fourth root of 6 over 5x. This is not in its simplest form because the radical has a fraction. So we need to get rid of this fraction. So what we are going to do, we are going to split this. It's going to be fourth radical of 6 over fourth radical or fourth root of 5x. 6 is only 2 times 3, so we don't have any factor multiplied by itself 4 times, so we cannot simplify this. Same thing for the 5x. The only thing, we need to get rid of this from the denominator. We need no radical on the denominator. But this is only 1 5, so I need to multiply it by another. The index is 4, so we divide by 4. So I want to make this 5 raised to power at least power 4. So we can divide 4 by 4. This is 5 power 1. So we need 3 more 5. So we're going to multiply by 4th root of 5 power 3. So the easiest way to figure out this 3, you just subtract the exponent over here from this exponent. 4 minus 1 is 3. We have also x power 1. I want to make it x power 4, so I can divide the 4 by the 4 and eliminate the radical from the denominator. So I need 3 more x's, so I'm going to multiply by x power 3. Whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do it one more time to the numerator. So I'm going to multiply this also by 4th root of 5 cubed x cubed equals 4th root. We can combine these as we learned before. 6 times 5 power 3 x power 3 over 4th root 5 power 1, you multiply it by 5 power 3, and x power 1 times x power 3. So that's going to be 4th root of 5 power 3, that's 125. Then you multiply the 125 by 6, is going to be 750. By the way, you cannot simplify this because it's only, the factors are over here, only 3 5s, so we don't have 4 5s, we don't have 5 power 4, and the 6 only 2 and 3, 2 times 3. So it's 1 2, 1 3, and then 3 5s. And when you multiply them, we get 750 x power 3. So this cannot be simplified over 4th root 5 power 1 times 5 power 3, that's going to be 5 power 4 x power 4. Now originally the x has odd exponents, so we know that we are not going to need absolute value for the x at all on this problem. So the numerator is going to stay as it is, 4th root of 750 x power 3 over, you divide by 4, you separate them and you divide each one by the index, the power by the index. So that becomes 5 power 1 and this becomes x. So now we were able to eliminate the radical from the denominator. Now keep in mind that this x power 3 here is inside the radical, so we can't like reduce this. Now try to practice these two problems and good luck.